Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, CEO of Lighthouse Streaming, and you're watching Centex Sports Network.
My name is Debbie Kimbrell. I am the administrative assistant here at Anderson Chapel. I also work as part of the media ministry. It was great working with Lighthouse. Everyone was very professional, came in to do video recording and streaming for a conference that we hosted here on time. They did what they needed to do, was seamless and transparent. It was great. And feedback, everyone was impressed. So it went out, it was a conference level, so a state level event, and everyone was impressed with the product and the result. We got the DVDs too, which people purchased, and they were impressed with those. It was great overall.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, founder and CEO of Lighthouse Streaming. Over the last 4 years, we've had some tremendous successes, none of which could have been accomplished without you, our clients, and our viewers. From my family and the staff of Lighthouse Streaming, thank you.
My name is Tashay Sayes. I'm a music major at MCC, and I'm so happy to be here. It's crazy how I got here.
My name is Emily Adams. I'm the marketing director for the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association. We are here at our third annual MAPS conference at the Waco Convention Center in beautiful Waco, Texas. I think the event has exceeded all of our expectations. We had an amazing turnout and great sessions and nothing but positive feedback. So this is our first conference in a convention center, and I'm used to working with hotels where there's like one person to talk to for everything. And so at the last minute, we realized we needed audio and video services. And so I contacted Lighthouse Streaming and Audio, and they were very quick to respond. They were able to, even though it was the last minute, they were able to fit us into their schedule, and they provided us with technicians and equipment to record our sessions, and we'll be able to provide the people who are speaking at those sessions with great video of themselves. I would highly recommend them. I highly recommend Lighthouse Streaming and Audio. I had nothing but a pleasant experience, and if we come back to Waco again, which we hope to do, I know I'll be in touch with them.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, CEO of Lighthouse Streaming, and you're watching Centex Sports Network.
My name is Debbie Kimbrell. I am the administrative assistant here at Anderson Chapel. I also work as part of the media ministry. It was great working with Lighthouse. Everyone was very professional, came in to do video recording and streaming for a conference that we hosted here on time. They did what they needed to do, was seamless and transparent. It was great. And feedback, everyone was impressed. So it went out, it was a conference level, so a state level event, and everyone was impressed with the product and the result. We got the DVDs too, which people purchased, and they were impressed with those. It was great overall.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, founder and CEO of Lighthouse Streaming.
Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not just here in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on this Tuesday afternoon, as we'll have a little bit of a shortened version of Centex Primetime here today. But I still want to come to you guys and be able to bring some of these topics that's going on in the sports world. As we know, the NBA playoffs sort of kind of start tonight with the NBA play-in. The Hawks will be taking on the Orlando Magic, and to close it out tonight, we will get the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Golden State Warriors. Ja Morant versus Steph Curry. We get to see all of that action tonight. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. The first game, Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic, and that's kind of a game that, you know, some people think is not a spectacular game, maybe not as eye-catching as Memphis versus Golden State, but that Atlanta team has got a lot of good players on it. Jalen Johnson having one of the best seasons of his career, the best season of his career. Trae Young, one of the most slept on, I think the most slept on superstar in the NBA, going against Paolo Banchero, somebody I was mad that didn't make the Olympic team because he's that sensational as a player. They've got Franz Wagner, the Wagner boys, him and his brother Mo Wagner on the Orlando Magic as well. Sad to see that Jalen Suggs won't be playing as he suffered a season-ending injury earlier on in the year. But nonetheless, that's a star-studded matchup as well as we get the first game of the first play-in games here tonight. And then tomorrow on ESPN, we'll get Miami versus Chicago. Now, if y'all want a game that y'all, go to sleep on and don't care about who wins that, sorry. But Miami versus Chicago. I know it's still some Bull fans somewhere lingering around. But, nobody wants to watch that game. I'm just going to keep it a buck with y'all. I don't think either one of those teams are going to make the playoffs. And then the game after that is kind of eerie similar to the first one in Dallas versus Sacramento. Dallas with all their injuries, all that they've gone through. Sacramento, they're just Sacramento, so we don't have to say too much. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, we get the good games. We get the 7 and the 8 matchups tonight. Whoever wins will get the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference as well. So plenty to talk about with that here today, folks. We got to talk about the NFL Draft. It's just a little over a week away. Next Thursday is the NFL Draft. Shedeur Sanders gets another private workout with the New York Giants. What does that mean for what the Giants could do with their draft pick sitting at number 3? Travis and Shedeur Hunter both get their jerseys retired at Colorado. We'll talk about that as well. Jalen Milroe gets an invite to the NFL Draft. So does that mean Jalen Milroe's got a chance to go in the first round? We'll talk about that as well, and we'll also hit some other quick takes, just some hot topics going on around in sports. Folks, want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV over on YouTube. Make sure you guys go over there, hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell so you can get notified whenever we go live right here on Centex Sports Network. We've got MCC Baseball will be on tomorrow for those baseball fans, or MCC Softball will be on tomorrow. As a matter of fact, 1 o'clock starting right here on Centex Sports Network. And this weekend, we'll have MCC Baseball, I believe, on a Friday instead of our usual Saturday game slated there. We'll have it on Friday instead, as MCC Baseball will be back in action right here on Centex Sports Network. So we've got a lot to talk about here today, folks, in just a short amount of time that we're going to be on the show here today. Still plenty to talk about. Yesterday was the WNBA Draft. Paige Buckets, a.k.a. Paige Beckers, is the number 1 pick going to the Dallas Wings. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. I was excited about this pick. I'm going to do my homework to figure out who do we got to hit up for some press credentials, because I've got to make at least a few of those games in Dallas this year with the dynamic new backcourt. Arika, that's already been in Dallas, giving everybody buckets. She's one of the best players in the WNBA, definitely one of my favorite players that's in the W. Paige Beckers now joining her in that backcourt could be lethal, could be a really dynamic duo for the WNBA. And the WNBA is coming right around the corner. I believe preseason starts the first week of May. Women's basketball, they don't really give you any time to let up. We just had the national champion crowned last week. That was Paige Beckers, who became the number 1 pick in UConn. And now we've had the draft. A couple of weeks is going to be preseason time. They're already getting ready to go to training camp, and I kind of like that about the WNBA. That gives the time that lets us keep the stardom and that same fervor of wanting to watch some of these stars in the women's side of basketball, and they transfer right over to the WNBA, and we can continue to watch them. Now, do the rookies necessarily like it? Probably not, because you go from playing, a lot of them in school, still trying to graduate or just got done graduating. You go from playing a long season, especially if you're somebody like Paige Beckers, you go all the way to win the national championship after coming off multiple injuries. They went far in the tournament last year. She could be probably a little bit worn out. I would just have to imagine. Now, am I still going to be excited to see her play? Of course, no doubt about that whatsoever. But they get to go straight into the season. The Dallas Wings will be one of my teams on the radar that I'll be looking out for this year in the W. Some real interesting teams and games coming up in the W in the next few weeks. Before she got drafted, she hadn't signed anything to the Dallas Wings. She signed a contract already to play for Unrivaled, which is the league that was made by multiple different WNBA players, and I love to be able to watch that league. They do some one-on-one out there. They do 3-on-3. They do a little bit of everything in Unrivaled. Paige Becker's already signed with her. That means the brand is growing. That means that women's basketball is growing. Already, Paige Becker is going to be a huge part of that, so that was really exciting to see. She'll be playing for the Dallas Wings. So like I said, folks, I've got to try to make at least a couple of those games. Somebody got a plug on a Paige Becker's jersey. Y'all hit me up. Y'all see my my Instagram tag at the bottom there at Jalen Gillis. Y'all hit me up, man. Somebody got some type of plug on a Paige Becker's jersey, because I'm definitely trying to get my hands on one of those. Moving to some college football / NFL football. Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders both get their jerseys retired at Colorado University. Now, of course, like everything with Colorado University, at least football, and everything to do with Shedeur and Travis, there's some type of controversy going on. Some people, of course, now this is just people on the internet, so I'm not going to say that anybody else came out and said this, but I've already seen people, they didn't do enough. They only played there for 2 years. How are they getting their jerseys retired? Well, first off, I don't know exactly what they mean by not do enough. Not they haven't done enough. Colorado won 1 game before Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Coach Prime came to the Colorado Buffaloes. Their first year, did they have a great season? No. Not by any stretch of the imagination was it a great season at all. They still won more games than they did the year before. This season, coming out and winning 9 games, man, this was a phenomenal season for them. Shedeur and Travis both will be 2 of the highest draft picks to come out of Colorado. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. If you're doing the Shedeur hate, I think it's mostly just hate. I see why he gets his jersey retired there at Colorado. They were game changers. Whether Colorado doesn't win any more games, they were game changers for not only that school, but for the culture of college football. Shedeur Sanders scoring touchdowns and having his song playing after they score and the whole crowd cheering it. That's culture changes. Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, doing it his way. We'll talk a little bit about his way in just a second and what he's told some of the people in the NFL. But Travis Hunter doing it his own way, playing both sides of the ball, winning the Heisman. What do you mean you don't need to have his jersey retired? I don't get what somebody would mean by that. Of course he needs his jersey retired. How many Heisman winners does Colorado have? Why wouldn't he get his jersey retired? Coach Prime should have, like he said when he first got to Colorado, he wants to have his face carved in one of those mountains out there, and they should already be laying out the specs for doing that at this point. And yes, it's only been 2 years. Yes, they haven't won a national championship, but do y'all know where this Colorado program was at? They upped the attendance of the school. They made millions with an S, multiple millions for the community of Boulder. Myself and everybody here listening, none of us knew where Boulder, Colorado was. I've never heard of Boulder, Colorado in my life. Only city I heard of in Colorado is Denver and Colorado Springs. Now, if somebody watching this is from Colorado, I'm sorry, but we don't know what cities you have in Colorado like that. We know it's a lot of mountains. We know it's cold. We know y'all got billy goats and stuff up in the mountains. But one of those goats y'all need to add up to the mountain is Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. So Travis and Shedeur, they, of course, deserve to have their jersey retired, man. I don't even know what we're talking about saying something like that. Of course they deserve to have their jersey retired. While they were in the middle of talking about getting their jersey retired, Travis Hunter had some things to say. Travis Hunter said he's never playing football again if he can't play wide receiver and cornerback in the NFL. Okay, so that's, of course, is the headline that gets everybody's attention. Travis Hunter, if an NFL team says he can only play one side of the ball, he says, I'm never playing football again because I've been doing it my whole life. I feel like I could dominate on each side of the ball. Now, Travis Hunter is going to feel like that. Like he said, he's been doing it his whole life. Is Travis Hunter being a little bit hyperbolic? Yes. He's going to play football still, y'all. If they tell him, hey, you only going to put you out that corner, Travis is not going to hang the cleats up and say, well, I'm done playing football. So he is being a little bit hyperbolic. He is dragging this just a little bit. But I don't get what's the big deal about him trying both sides. If he tries and it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But Travis Hunter has done this at every level. Can he play full-time on both sides? And I've talked about this numerous times on the show. Can he play full-time on both sides? I don't think so. I don't think anybody is built to be able to play both sides of the ball in football. It's too physical of a sport. Don't think you can play both sides. Too taxing on the body. Travis Hunter's got a slight frame. You're going to be playing against grown men. Just trying to knock your block off each and every play. Could he still have success on both sides? Absolutely. I think Travis Hunter is a stud at receiver. His ball skills are something you can't teach. You can't teach that. His instinct for getting to the ball, his knack for getting to the ball is something you can't teach. I would prefer Travis Hunter as a corner. I've said that numerous times on the show. I like him better as a corner. At receiver, I think he's a dynamic playmaker. At corner, I think he's a franchise player. That's just my opinion. But Travis is going to want to play both, especially if you've been used to scoring touchdowns your whole life. You're not going to be so happy about somebody saying, we just want you on the defensive side of the ball. Now, can he do both? I think he should play corner full-time, and they should have certain packages, certain third down packages for Travis Hunter to be able to come in the game because he still can make an impact. He still got great hands. He still can jump out the gym. He's still a phenomenal athlete. How fast he is in comparison to the NFL guys, we'll see that once he gets there. But this is Travis Hunter, man. He's one of one. It's the reason he won the Heisman at Colorado while playing both, while being both a receiver and a DB. So I think Travis is going to be just fine, man. Will he stop playing football if Jacksonville drafts him and tells him only play one side? No. If New England drafts him and only tells him to play one side? No. I think he's just being a little bit hyperbolic there. But I like Travis Hunter going to New England, just my personal opinion. I think he fits that perfect. Travis Hunter off the field is kind of a boring guy. I think New England is the perfect place for him. You can go to New England and just chill, relax. Ain't going to be nothing for you to do there. So you can't do nothing but focus on getting better at football, focus on getting better at your craft, whether that's on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. So I like him going to New England. He could go as high. I mean, he could go to be the number one pick. There's no reason for me to say he could go as high as Cleveland at 2. He could be the number one pick. I think the Titans are going to take Cam Ward, but I'm not for certain. This is probably the most unsure I've been about maybe the top 5 picks in the draft since I've been really just paying attention to the draft like that. Because we really have no idea what's going to happen here. We think we know Tennessee is going to take Cam Ward at number 1. We think we know that. But number 2, what is Cleveland going to do? You can see Travis there. We can see Abdul Carter right there. We can see Shedeur Sanders. That one would be a kind of a shock to see Shedeur Sanders at that spot. But it wouldn't be too shocking to see him going up to number 2. So there's multiple places that we can see Travis Hunter. For my personal opinion, I like Travis at corner, and I like Travis at New England if I'm just having it my way. But we'll get to see all of that next Thursday. Staying with some college football and some draft news. Shedeur Sanders, like I said a second ago, will host a final private workout for the New York Giants. Now, of course, that gets everybody buzzing, gets everybody thinking, okay, well, they're doing another private workout. Maybe we could see Shedeur at number 3, where I thought he was going to go originally. But at this point, I don't think the Giants know what they're going to do. I was just watching an old clip of the Minnesota Vikings. I forget what year it was, maybe late 90s, early 2000s, where they just didn't even turn their pick in on time and got their pick skipped. That's something I can see happening with the New York Giants. I think the Giants are all over the place. I think they have no idea what they want to do. That's just me on the outside looking in, of course. We all saw last year on Hard Knocks Joe Shane looking like a complete moron and letting Saquon Barkley leave from your team when he's your best player, and then also letting him walk and leave to your division rival in the Philadelphia Eagles. And then they won the Super Bowl and he rushed for 2,000 yards. So he looks like a complete moron. Would I be shocked if Would I be shocked if they pick Shedeur? I mean, no. Would I be shocked if they make a wrong pick here? No, it's the New York Giants. You're hosting Shedeur for a private workout, cool. You've been all in this entire offseason on getting a veteran quarterback. That's been our deal. We want a veteran quarterback. We want a veteran QB. They went after Matt Stafford, did not work. They went after they went after a couple other guys, did not work. They went after Aaron Rodgers, did not work. Even though we still don't really know where Aaron Rodgers is going to go. We all assume the Pittsburgh Steelers, but for some strange reason it hasn't happened yet. Not sure what that's about, but it's Aaron Rodgers. We don't understand anything about him. But the Giants have been trying to get a veteran QB all offseason. They signed Jameis Winston, which I think was one of the best deals that was signed this offseason. Jameis Winston is a great locker room guy. I just like him on the value that they got him for. 2 years, $8 million. Jameis Winston is somebody that could come in. If you have a team that's built, he can win you a couple games. Will he do that for the Giants? Who knows, man? It's the Giants. But I love Jameis Winston as that backup QB, somebody that can be a voice in the locker room, somebody that's always going to be positive every single day, and somebody that can actually play. We see a lot of backups in the league that are just backups forever that we have no idea can they play. Brian Hoyer is a backup like my entire life. Seen Brian Hoyer have like 2 good games, but he remained a backup. We've seen Jameis throw for 4,000 yards, so we're not going to put Jameis like he's just some type of terrible QB, even though I see some people say that because he turns the ball over. Okay, he does have a turnover problem, but he's not a terrible QB. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than Brian Hoyer. These are guys that are career backups. Not much of Garoppolo because he had a lot of time starting, but guys that we see just get to be backups in this league for a long time. You think about the Blaine Gabberts, the Chad Henneys, the Chase Daniels, dudes that were just backups for like 13, 14 years. Jameis Winston is one of the best backups in the league, and he's on a great deal. After they do that, they sign Russell Wilson to a bigger deal, which makes us all think, okay, maybe they're going to go into this with Russ as their quarterback. Now hosting Shador for one final private workout. I don't know that Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston are strong enough quarterbacks to draft somebody like Shador Sanders, who after Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston throws one pick, everyone in the stadium is going to be cheering for Shador to get into the game. That's a lot of pressure. It's already in New York, but that's a lot of pressure. Dable, the head coach, Coach Brian Dable, and Joe Shane, the GM, have a lot of pressure on them already. Do they want to add that pressure by drafting Shador and then him getting talked about the entire offseason on will he win the job? Can he win the job? I've said this before multiple times on this show. I like for my rookie quarterbacks to get drafted and to sit a year. If you end up getting thrown in the fire, that's cool. Obviously, my team, the Houston Texans, we did that with C.J. Stroud, and it worked out. We did it with Deshaun Watson, and it worked out before he started doing all his other random stuff. Most of the time, I like for my quarterbacks to get drafted and sit. We saw Tom Brady get drafted and sit. We saw Patrick Mahomes get drafted and sit. It's when guys can sit back and learn, I feel like it gives them more of an advantage. You get a chance to see what NFL speed is like without going out there and getting your confidence crushed like we saw with Bryce Young over the last couple of years out there in Carolina, like we've seen with numerous quarterbacks, like we saw with Sam Darnold when he was a New York Jet, like we saw with Zach Wilson when he was a New York Jet, like we saw with Geno Smith when he was a New York Jet. Obviously, the Jets are the common denominator here, but I like for them to be able to sit back a year, learn behind a good veteran quarterback. So could Shador going to New York be a good thing? Getting to sit behind the Russell Wilson, getting to sit behind a Jameis Winston. Yeah, it could be good. I know one thing. He's going to learn how to say at least a 10-minute prayer being behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, who do the team prayers before every single game. But I think there's a lot he can learn from those two guys. But will he be willing to sit, and will the Giants be willing to sit him, and will the fan base of the Giants accept him sitting and waiting, especially once they start to lose games? I don't know. So for that reason, I don't know if they should draft Shador Sanders. I don't think they're going to draft Shador. I see Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter being a New York Giant. Whichever one of them doesn't get picked by the Cleveland Browns, I think is going to go to the New York Giants at 3. Now, some people have predicted for Shador to fall in this draft now that we've got the New Orleans Saints who could be at play to trade up, but they said they might try to get him at number 9. We see, like I said yesterday here on the show, the 49ers are always a super intriguing pick to me because we don't know what the 49ers could go with right here. Brock Purdy still hasn't signed a deal, and he doesn't have to sign a deal. He's still on the contract, but he still hasn't signed a deal, and he's been actively trying to get a deal signed throughout this offseason. Hasn't been able to sign a deal just yet. Does that mean there's room for a Shador for them to move up and pick up a Shador? Maybe a Jackson Dart. That's just my opinion. I said it yesterday. I would trade up and go find Shador. If they get to number 6, which is the Las Vegas Raiders, I think the Raiders are going to take Genty. At 7, the Jets, I think they're going to take Tyler Warren, but Tyler Warren might be there at 11 if they make some type of trade with with the 49ers. I think they might be there at 9 if they make a trade with the New Orleans Saints. Outside of that, man, these guys aren't picking quarterbacks in this top 10. That's what makes this top 10 so interesting. A lot of these teams don't need quarterbacks. New England's at 4. They got Drake May. Jaguars at 5. They got Trevor Lawrence. At 6, the Raiders, they just signed Geno Smith and extended him. The Jets gave Justin Fields $40 million. Bryce Young looked really good those last 3 games for the Carolina Panthers. At 9, we all know the Saints are taking the quarterback. It's just which quarterback are they going to take? The Saints are taking the quarterback, whether that is Shedeur Sanders or whether that is Jackson Dart. They're going to take somebody right there. The Bears don't need a quarterback. That's number 10 pick. So we're looking at this top 10. Most of these teams don't need a quarterback. So does that leave room for New Orleans to trade up? Does that leave room for San Francisco 49ers to trade up? Does that leave room for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who pick at 21, to be able to trade up? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, though, as we get closer and closer to the draft, because we still haven't seen any major trades, and we know that trades are going to happen. It's just a matter of when are they going to happen and who's going to be the person getting traded, who's going to be the pick that's getting traded up. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see what the Giants do with their number 3 pick there. Obviously, them hosting Shedeur for one last private workout could lead people to believe that they might take Shedeur right there. And I'm not closing that door on them taking Shedeur, because that's where I thought he was going in the first place. We remember Shedeur at the Alamo Bowl had the cleats. It said New York Giants cleats. It said New York Giants on them. So would I be surprised if he goes there? Absolutely not at all. But I don't think they're going to take him. I think they're just doing their due diligence, and they're trying to make sure that this isn't a guy that we want to take. Let's make sure before we take Abdul, before we take Travis, knowing that we need a quarterback of the future, because Russ is on his last leg. Jameis Winston is moving into a backup role. Are we sure and are we fully convinced that, hey, we're out on Shedeur? I don't know if they're fully convinced on that. They want to host one more private workout because they want to be able to find that out, and they want to see for themselves, is that exactly what they want to do? But the NFL draft right around the corner, folks. Like I said, it is next Thursday. Some more draft news. Jalen Milroe gets the invite to the NFL draft. Now, the people that get the invite to the NFL draft to be there in attendance are most likely people that are going to be first-round picks. We see some people decline it, some people accept it, but most of the time they give it to guys that, hey, we're pretty sure you're going to be a first-round pick, maybe an early second day, but most of the time you're going to be a first-round pick. Jalen Milroe was projected to go 3rd or 4th round by a lot of people. Could we see a Jalen Milroe sighting in the first round? I think so. I wouldn't be shocked about a team like the New York Giants trading back up. They've got the number 34 pick. Could you trade a couple spots up to get back in that first round? Maybe make a deal with Philly. It almost feels like Philly owes you after you gave him Saquon Barkley for nothing. Could you see them trade back up with Philly and get back in that first round and get a Jalen Milroe? I wouldn't be shocked by that, because now we can confidently play Russell Wilson and confidently have Jameis Winston as a backup, knowing that Jalen Milroe is going to be a project. Jalen Milroe, I'm always rooting for somebody that's from Texas. He comes out of Houston. I'm always rooting for somebody that's from Texas. When the league is seeing the success that guys like a Josh Allen and guys like a Jalen Hurts are having, now obviously Josh Allen turned into one of the best passers in the league, but Josh Allen was a project quarterback coming out of Wyoming. That's why he was picked where he was at in the late tens of the first round. Pick 6 or 7. I can't remember which one it was, but other quarterbacks were picked in front of him for a reason, because he was a project QB. That's Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe's athleticism can't be denied. He's a freak athlete. We all know that. We've seen him play. He leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to the passing game. That just is what it is. His games against Oklahoma hurt him tremendously, in my opinion, because after the Georgia game, and the performance that he put on, including throwing, pretty much some game-winning plays at the end of that game and bringing them all the way back like he did. He was projected top 10 by some people, top 15. Obviously, that's going to fluctuate. That was way in October. But those games against Oklahoma hurt him. That game against Michigan really hurt him. I got up and watched that. I believe it was a game that came on at like 11 or 12 o'clock, so it really wasn't much on. Watched the game. That was bad. It was bad. But does that mean he can't be a good NFL quarterback? No. Of course he can be a good NFL quarterback. There's a lot of questions about Jalen Hurts. He's a Super Bowl MVP. There was a lot of questions about Josh Allen. He's a league MVP. We definitely know there's plenty of questions about Lamar Jackson, and I ain't comparing Jalen Milroe to Lamar Jackson as a passer or a runner, because I don't think he's either comparable to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson was considered a project quarterback coming out of Louisville. He got to sit for a little while behind Joe Flacco before he earned that starting spot. Could Jalen Milroe be somebody like that? I think so. What I don't want to see is Jalen Milroe overdrafted, drafted too high to where he's put into a bad situation a la Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson wasn't necessarily put into a bad situation by the personnel of the team. He was put in a bad situation because they made him come right out and start right away. And clearly he wasn't ready. This is a guy that only started one season at Florida, and it's not like Florida was just really good when he was there. He was good. He had flashes and had moments. Obviously, Anthony Richardson still right now when he's on the field is going to be a top 2 or 3 best athlete on the field at all times on either side of the ball for either team. He's a phenomenal athlete. But the dude can't throw an 8-yard out. He can't throw a curl route. All I see him through is throw go balls. I don't want that for Jalen Milroe. He can either be an Anthony Richardson, because Jalen Milroe also has a cannon arm. I wouldn't say as big as Anthony Richardson, but he's got a cannon arm. He can run. He's really fast. We know he can move. He's strong. He's not a slight built type of guy, so he can move and be able to maneuver in the NFL. But quarterback is more than that, man. Quarterback is a mental game. Quarterback is you have to be able to make certain throws on time. He was having trouble making certain throws on time in college. It's going to be way harder, 10 times harder to be able to do that in the NFL. Can he do it? I think so, but he's going to need some time. I don't want to see him rushed out there to a New Orleans Saints that needs a quarterback right now, and he gets forced to go out there and play. I wouldn't even. Let me not say that. I would be kind of mad if they did that. I was about to say I wouldn't even be too mad if the San Francisco 49ers took him at number 11, but I actually would be kind of mad. I think that's overdrafting. But, I mean, Jalen Milroe and San Francisco's offense with Kyle Shanahan, that's not bad, man. That's why that pick at 11 is so interesting to me for Kyle Shanahan and the GM John Lynch. What are they going to decide to do? How are they going to decide to move in that draft? Very, very interesting. But Jalen Milroe is invited to the NFL draft, and he will be there in attendance. Will he go in the first round? We don't know. I hope so now that they've invited him to the draft. If not, there's going to be flipping the camera over to him every 5 seconds and saying, Jalen Milroe still not drafted. He's got his whole family here. He's still not drafted. So that would be kind of embarrassing. But and at the end of the day, he's going to the league, so it ain't that embarrassing. But hopefully he does get drafted in the first round since they're going to decide to pick him. Since the draft is coming up, there's been a lot of discussion about running backs. The running backs have made a resurgence in the NFL, and they've shown themselves to be very valuable, as Saquon Barkley just turned the entire Eagles team around pretty much. They go from being a team that was underachieving, even though they got to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, to Super Bowl champs, and it almost looked like with ease. They blew everybody out in the whole playoffs besides the Los Angeles Rams. A lot of that was due to Saquon Barkley and him rushing for 2,000 yards this season, and him rushing for the most yards in regular season plus playoff of all time. Running backs are making a resurgence. Should you draft a running back in the first round? That's the question. Now, I've always said I'm not taking a running back in the first round unless he's just special. And I'm definitely not taking a running back in the top 10 unless they are extremely special. And when I say extremely special, I mean Adrian Peterson. I mean Saquon Barkley. I mean Derrick Henry, even though he didn't go in the first round. Derrick Henry was a second-round pick. It needs to be somebody like that. It can't be you run-of-the-mill. I wasn't a fan of Travis Etienne getting drafted in the first round. Najee Harris, guys like, I'm not taking them in the first round. Maybe late. Maybe if I got a late pick. Pittsburgh had a pretty late pick. They got Najee. Maybe if I'm picking late, okay, I get it. But in the top 10, 15, absolutely not. But That's what's going to happen this year because the special running back is coming out, and that's Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty's going number 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he's going to be another one of these first-round running backs that are going to be great early on right away if the Raiders can go out there and block for him. Here's a list of some running backs drafted in the last 10 years in the first round. 2015, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, both drafted in the first round. Todd Gurley, okay, I get it. He was a great running back prospect coming out of Georgia. Would I have taken him in the first round? Maybe. Would I have taken him as high as he was? Maybe not. But it wasn't a bad pick. Todd Gurley was a great player for those. It was a short stretch. Before that short stretch, Todd Gurley was an amazing player. Melvin Gordon as well for the then San Diego Chargers and now moved over to the Los Angeles Chargers. 2016, Ezekiel Elliott, home run hit. Like I said in 2016, so I'm not going to change off of that. In 2016, I didn't have a show then, but just talking, barbershop talk, talking to different people. I was saying the whole draft, hey man, Cowboys got that top pick. Believe number 4 pick. They need to draft Jalen Ramsey at 4. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And then get Derrick Henry in the second round, which Derrick Henry ended up falling in the second round, went to the Tennessee Titans. Now, how great would that have worked? Was Zeke a bad pick? Absolutely not. Zeke was, for a 3-year stretch there, 3 or 4 year stretch, one of the best running backs in the league. Probably for about 2 years, he was probably the best running back in the NFL. So that ended up being a good pick. Taking him number 4, it's kind of a stretch. As you can see, the longevity play didn't work out. But for what he did in that short span, Ezekiel Elliott was electric, man. He really helped propel not only the Cowboys, but helped propel Dak Prescott's career and what he was able to do because of you knew Zeke was going to be automatic 4 to 5 yards each time he touched the ball. 2017, Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey. This is when it starts getting kind of spooky. Like, okay, Leonard Fournette, my high school class of 2014, dude was phenomenal since junior high. He was an absolute stud at LSU. I understand taking him that high. Did it pan out for him? Did it pan out for the Jaguars? Probably not. Didn't really make it past that second contract like that, and then he ended up flaming out of the league. I think Leonard Fournette was a really good running back, though, even when he was in the league. Super Bowl champion. Got to put some respect on Leonard Fournette's name there. Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, what Christian McCaffrey is able to do when he's healthy is phenomenal. When healthy, one of the best running backs in the league. By far, it's not even close. But health is an issue. He was taken in 2017. 2018, this is when team started to rail it back some. 2018, 3 running backs taken in the first round. Saquon Barkley, Sony Michel, Rashad Penny. Only one, obviously, Saquon Barkley, generational talent. Of course he should go where he went, to the New York Giants being a top 5 pick. Sony Michel and Rashad Penny, I don't fault as much because it was towards the end of the first round, but obviously that didn't work out the way that they thought it was going to work out. That's one of my reasons I don't take running backs in that first round. 2019, the only one taken was Josh Jacobs because of those 2018 backs probably not panning out the way that they thought. 2020, only running back taken was Clyde Edwards. That was at the end of the first round. Clyde Edwards hasn't really lived up to that potential. 2021, Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. Neither one of those I would have taken in the first round. Neither one. Najee Harris, I think, is going to be he's a decent back. I think he's actually going to have a lot more success playing under Jim Harbaugh now over there at the Chargers since he signed with the Chargers in the offseason. I think he's going to have a lot more success being out there with them. Travis Etienne, underwhelming. There's no other way to put it. Travis Etienne, I wouldn't have taken him that high coming out of college, and he hasn't panned out like that in Jacksonville so far, at least. 2022, no running backs got picked. 2023, they kind of tried to get back on track with picking a couple running backs in the first round. These were 2 home runs. Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. 2 home run picks. 2024, no running backs were taken in the first round. This year, how many running backs will we see taken in the first round? That's left to be determined. Obviously, like I just said, Ashton Genty, he's going in the first round. He's going in the top 10. He's not getting past the Raiders at 6. That's just my firm belief. The next running back we might see in that top 10 is Amari Hampton. Now, this draft is one of those drafts where I'd have to stand on my principle of I'm not taking a running back in the first round because way too many running backs coming out this year for me to pick a running back in the first round. In my opinion, I'm not taking one. Ashton Genty, I understand it. Of course, after the type of season he had, I understand taking him in the first round. Amari Hampton, just depends on the scenario. If the team really needs a running back later round, I wouldn't be mad at Amari Hampton. I think he's going to be really good. But these are just a list of names of people you can get in the later rounds. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Junkin, both national champions at Ohio State. Caleb Johnson, who is going to be a really good back in the league. Dylan Sampson, we talked about Tennessee yesterday with Nico Ameleva transferring or supposed to be transferring. Dylan Sampson was his running back last year. He had a phenomenal year. Devin Neal, phenomenal year at Kansas. Been a great player for Kansas. DJ Giddens at Kansas State, been a great player. Jordan James, RJ Harvey, Damian Martinez. These are all guys we will see in probably a top 5, top 8 in most drafts. I'm already down to like 12 or 13. Still haven't included Trevor Etienne. Still haven't included both the Michigan running backs and Caleb Mullings and Donovan Edwards as well. Sanders out of South Carolina is nice. Taj Brooks and Ollie Gordon, 2 Big 12 guys. I watch a lot of Big 12 football. 2 Big 12 guys that were projected to be top 10 running backs picked. Top 5. Really, especially if you think about Ollie Gordon. They're projected way at the bottom now. There's a lot of good running backs you're going to be able to get in this year's draft, man. So would I take a running back in the first round this year? It's not Ashton Genty. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't take Ashton Genty at 6, but I understand the Raiders doing it. They need a running back. Why not get the guy sitting there at number 6? You just got to pick best available when your teams like Cleveland, and not as much Cleveland, but definitely teams like the Raiders, when you just really have nobody. It's Max Crosby and that's it. Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. I ain't going to disrespect. Brock Bowers had a phenomenal rookie season last year. You just got to take best available if you're in their scenario. You can't really go off of team fit, even though they do need a running back. And Ashton Genty is probably going to be best available for them sitting at number 6. NFL draft, folks, next Thursday. Like I said, next Thursday. Can't wait to be able to see where some of these teams go. Next week, we're going to break this down a little bit more, do some mock draft stuff here, at least pick our first 10 to 15 picks throughout this draft, what we think teams are going to do, including your Dallas Cowboys. I know y'all want to talk about the Cowboys. I ain't talking about them today, but we will next week talk some more about the Cowboys and their pick at number 12. What direction are they going to decide to go with? Do they get a T-Mac out of Arizona at receiver? Do they get a Matthew Golden out of Texas at receiver? Will Johnson at DB coming out of Michigan. Jahdae Barron at DB coming out of Texas. It's a lot of different ways that they could go. The Dallas Cowboys will break all of that down some more next week. And some more NFL news. The Dolphins are looking to part ways with corner Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, coming out of high school and college, was one of my favorite players, still one of my favorite players in the league, but definitely coming out of Florida State. I thought he was going to be the real deal. And when he got to Jacksonville, he proved to be the real deal. He was a huge part of the Saxonville defense, as they called it back in, I think, 2018, 2019. Huge part of that defense, number 1 defense. I know because they were destroying my Texans at the time. I won't say destroying. They were doing my Texans pretty dirty. And they made it all the way to an AFC championship with Blake Bortles as the quarterback. Blake Bortles. So you know that team had to be stacked. Huge part of that was Jalen Ramsey. He's on the Miami Dolphins. They are looking to part ways with Jalen Ramsey. Now, this is one that, isn't surprising. I'm not surprised by them deciding to move on from Jalen Ramsey. He's got a big contract. The Dolphins don't know which direction they're going to go in. They made some really big contract signings. Last year, they don't even make the playoffs. Now, I understand Tua was hurt for majority of the year, but they weren't even competitive when Tua was hurt. I said most of the season, I think Mike McDaniel is not that good of a coach. You know you've got a QB and QB that's injury riddled, that's injury prone. You come back out with an extremely talented offense, just minus Tua, and you're barely putting 9 points up in the game. That's an issue. I understand losing your quarterback is a huge piece. You still got Tyreek Hill. You still got Jalen Waddle. Still got Devin A-Chain. Still got Raheem Mostert. You got to be able to make something happen. Got to be able to make something happen if you are the Miami Dolphins. So they're moving on from Jalen Ramsey because their defense just wasn't all that good this year. Javon Holland, I believe, is signed to the New York Giants. They're going to move off Ramsey. They're going to play a lot of young guys. They got Chop Robinson out of Penn State last year to go on the other side of Bradley Chubb, who they paid a lot of money, who hasn't really lived up to that potential. I expect for them to move off of Bradley Chubb as well. They got the kid out of Miami, Phillips, a few years ago, that they drafted out of Miami at edge rusher. They're going to play a lot of their younger guys. They're going to let the young guys go. And this is just a part of that. Jalen Ramsey moving on. Now, the bigger piece will be, what do they do with Tyreek Hill? Now that they're moving on from veterans like a Jalen Ramsey, what do they do with Tyreek Hill, who said, we all watched at the end of the season, said he's done, he's out, he's done with Miami. Then they kind of reconciled, and he's like, no, I'm not done with Miami. I'm going to still be here. Now there's still reports that they could trade Tyreek Hill. That's one of the reasons it's going to get so interesting next week, because a lot of teams make trades during the draft. Tyreek Hill could be one of those names we see on the move. I'm not sure, but Jalen Ramsey definitely expected to be one of those names on the move. They're not going to cut him just yet. As of right now, they're planning on probably trading him away. Last bit of NFL news here. Couple retirees, man, that really mean something to me, because these were two of my favorite players growing up watching football. Really starting to develop myself as watching football, really watching more than just a fan, but really paying attention to football. And these two were two of my favorite players. And that's Julio Jones and Patrick Peterson. These two phenomenal players coming out of really that same era. Both came out the SEC. Patrick Peterson coming out of Florida. Julio Jones coming out of Alabama. Two of the best players of a generation. Julio Jones, 13 years in the league, 7-time Pro Bowler, the 2010s All-Decade team. He's on the All-Decade team. 13,000 plus receiving yards, and won a natty at Alabama as well, on one of the best Alabama teams. I still think, outside of that 2020 year where they were just completely loaded, Trayvon Diggs and Pat Surtain and all those guys, I mean, that was ridiculous. But outside of that year, I think that 2009 year was one of their best teams with Mark Ingram and Greg McElroy, who was coming out of South Lake Carroll after winning multiple national championships as well. They still had guys like Mark Ingram out there. They had Julio Jones at receiver, Kareem Jackson on the defensive side of the ball, C.J. Mosley, Dante Hightower. They were loaded. That's why they won the national championship. Julio Jones is a big part of them being able to do that. Julio Jones is a huge part of them being able to do that. Like I said, phenomenal player, college, NFL, pros, one of the best receivers of all time. If you're in my age range, in my generation, Julio Jones is one of the best receivers we've ever seen play football. I didn't get the chance to watch Jerry Rice, not Jerry Rice, that we're thinking of the 80s and 90s. I got to watch old Jerry Rice that should have been retired when he was on the Raiders and some of those other teams in the 2000s. But I got to watch a Randy Moss. I got to watch a T.O. Julio Jones is made of that same ilk, the Calvin Johnsons. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when this is all said and done. Patrick Peterson, I feel the exact same way. Before we had Travis Hunter, like I said, if you're in my generation, before we had Travis Hunter, we had Patrick Peterson, who was not really getting that chance to play offense like that at LSU, but as a punt returner and kick returner, electric. One of the best college football players at LSU. Patrick Peterson was a monster. 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro in the league. For a long time, was the best corner in the league. When he first came in, Revis was still the best corner in the league. Then as Revis kind of fizzled out, it was between Sherman and Patrick Peterson. And most people, like myself, are giving that nod to Patrick Peterson, man. He just was unfortunately on the Cardinals team that couldn't really get anywhere most of the time. They had some good runs when they had Larry Fitz and Carson Palmer towards the end of their careers. But Patrick Peterson, one of the best to be able to put on cleats, man. Patrick Peterson retires from the NFL, as well as Julio Jones. Two people that I think are very deserving of getting into the Hall of Fame. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about these games here tonight. Getting ready to come on, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. That game's coming on in a few minutes. We'll talk about the Grizzlies also versus the Golden State Warriors in the matchup here in the play-in. 7 and 8 seed matchup here. We'll be right back here on Centex Primetime. We'll take a short break and come right back. Stay tuned and stay locked in. We'll take a short break.
Over the last 4 years, we've had some tremendous successes, none of which could have been accomplished without you, our clients, and our viewers. From my family and the staff of Lighthouse Streaming, Thank you.
My name is Jalen. I'm a music major at MCC, and I'm so happy to be here. It's crazy how I got here.
My name is Emily Adams. I'm the marketing director for the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association. We are here at our third annual MAPS conference at the Waco Convention Center in beautiful Waco, Texas. I think the event has exceeded all of our expectations. We had an amazing turnout and great sessions and nothing but positive feedback. So this is our first conference in a convention center, and I'm used to working with hotels where there's like one person to talk to for everything. And so at the last minute, we realized we needed audio and video services. And so I contacted Lighthouse Streaming and Audio, and they were very quick to respond. They were able to, even though it was the last minute, they were able to fit us into their schedule, and they provided us with technicians and equipment to record our sessions, and we'll be able to provide the people who are speaking at those sessions with great video of themselves. I would highly recommend them. I highly recommend Lighthouse Streaming and Audio. I had nothing but a pleasant experience, and if we come back to Waco again, which we hope to do, I know I'll be in touch with them.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, CEO of Lighthouse Streaming, and you're watching Centex Sports.